Hello and good afternoon, CTS266 section 840 students for the spring 2016 semester at Anne Arundel Community College. This is the Cisco Networking Academy CCNP switch course, and this afternoon's video tutorial is going to be on Lab 5-1, where we take a look at Inter-VLAN Routing. So if you're following along, I've already done the basic configuration steps, and we're going to go right to step number 3, where we're going to configure some layer 3 interfaces on the distribution layer switches. Now, the switch database manager config preference on both of these have already been changed. So let's go from user exec to privilege exec, and if I say show SDM prefer, you can see that we are running the IPv4 IPv6 routing switch database manager template. So these have already been reloaded and we are ready, we're ready to go here. So let's go from privilege exec into global config, and first we're going to do interface VLAN 99, and we're going to say IP address 10.1.99.1, and it's going to be a /24, and we'll say no shut. And then we're going to say interface loopback 1, IP address 172.16.1.1, and this will also be a /24. And let's get rid of that extra period in there. Okay, so that's it for DLS1. We're going to have to create some VLANs, it looks like, as well, but we're going to do that as we kind of scoot along here. So we'll take these. And actually, the table's right below there. So let's see. We're going to have to do interface VLAN 99. Or, I'm sorry, not interface VLAN 99. Sorry about that. Let's exit out here. So let's say VLAN 99. Name is management MGMT. And then VLAN 110. And the name is internode. And then VLAN 120. And the name is going to be MGMT2. For management 2. Okay, great. So that takes care of DLSW01. Let's go ahead and go back to privilege exec and give it a write mem here and save our config off and transition over to DLSW02. So we'll go from user exec to privilege exec. Let's say do show SDM prefer. Let's make sure that we've got the IPv4 IPv6 routing template. We do. And then let's go ahead and say, let's see what we've got here, interface VLAN 110. And the IP address is going to be 10.1.110.1. It's going to be a /24. We're going to say no shut on that. Let's go into interface VLAN 120. So what we're doing here, right, is when we say this interface VLAN 110, 120, 99, we're creating the switch virtual interfaces, right? So these are the layer 3 interfaces that these hosts that we're going to have here are going to be using as their default gateway. So let's go ahead and say no shut on 120, and then interface loopback 1, IP address 192.168.1.1, and this is also a /24, and it's going to come up, but we'll go ahead and throw a no shut in there just to be sure. Let's go ahead and say VLAN 99, and the name is going to be MGMT1. And then we've got VLAN 110 and 120. So VLAN 110, name is going to be internode. And then VLAN 120, the name is going to be MGMT2 for management 2. All right, so we're going to stay here. Let me double check this here and see if they want us to stay here on 1 or 2. All right, so at this point it says we should be able to test basic inter-VLAN routing using the attached host. So host D is attached to DLSW02. So if I pull the VNC viewer up here, this would be host 2. Let's make sure. I believe that I've got actually a single MacBook here now that is actually serving both roles. So there you go. You can see we've got interface FA06 has come up. So what is it asking us to do here? So the IP address should be 10.1.110. All right, so here's what it asks. It says assign interface FA06 to VLAN 110. Configure the host with the address 10.1.110.50. Make it a /24. We gave it the right default gateway, and then it says Once you've done that, try to ping loopback 1's IP between two directly connected interfaces. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me click Apply here. So we've got the right IP addressing scheme here. Let's come back over to, come out the bottom there. We'll come back over here to DLSWO2. So let's go into interface FA 6.0.6. And we're going to simply say switch port host. And remember, what three things take place when we type in that switch port host? And we're going to see them all right down here at the bottom for us. We have switch port mode will be set to access, spanning tree port fast is enabled, and we've got the channel group disabled, right? So if it was doing Etherchannel, that would be disabled. So these are the three things that take place. We still need to assign it, though, to the proper VLAN, and this asked us to assign it to VLAN switch port access VLAN 110. So we're going to put it into 110. We're going to say no shut. All right, so that interface is up. So if I were to say show IP interface brief, so we'll take a look at the top here. You can see VLAN 110. That is the default gateway address that we placed here, right? That 10. This may be a little difficult to see. This 10.1.110.1. That is the switch virtual interface IP for VLAN 110. All right, so let's go ahead and type Q and get out of this here. All right, so now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and test connectivity. They want us to ping 192.168.1.1. So let's go ahead and give it a go. So we're going to say ping 192.168, and actually, I apologize, they want us to do that from the PC/MacBook. So let's pull up Secure CRT here. We've got a local interface set up. We'll make that as large as we can. And let's say ping 192.168.1.1. And I think this may cause, so it's going to work. And I'm on my Wi-Fi network, which is providing me this connection right here, which is also 192.168.1, but it is not one, there's no 1.1 on my network. So we look good here, so we can definitely ping that. So let's do Control-C, and we'll drop this down. And again, remember, we are in VLAN 110 on DLSWO2. So now what it wants us to do is configure a layer 3 ether channel between DLSWO1 and DLSWO2. And let me make sure here that we've got everything. And so this is going to be a layer 3 Ethernet, so we need to make sure that before, or I'm sorry, layer 3 Ether channel. So before we actually configure this, we need to make sure that on the ports we're going to be using, let's start on DLSWO1 here. On the ports we're going to be using, we want to make sure that we issue the no switch port command. Remember, that is going to kick in and make those ports layer 3 routed ports. So real quickly, let's do this. Show IP interface brief. I want to shut down everything that we're not using. So 101, yes. You can see we've got a bunch of ports up here. So let's do this. Let's go into global config. I'm going to say interface range FA 101 to 6, and then FA 1013, because we use up all the way to 12, to 48. And then gig 101 to 104. And we're just going to shut those down. Now we may have to wait here while may get some message. Yeah, here we go. So we're going to get some messages telling us that the interfaces are being shut down. So basically what I just did was on DLSWO1, I shut down every interface with the exception of FA 107 to 1012. So in other words, the links that we're going to be using for the port channels we're going to create. So let's go back into global config here. Interface range FA 1011 to 12. All right, so from here, remember, we want to say no switch port. So we want to make sure we turn these into layer 3 routed ports, and then we can put them into the channel group. So we're going to say channel group to mode. Now, what mode are we going to use? Well, they're asking us to use PAgP, so it's either desirable or auto. So let's stick with desirable. All right. And again, those interfaces, whoops, sorry, no shut. So those interfaces are all up. I'm going to exit out here. Now let's do, everything else is going to be done from the port channel. So we're going to interface port channel 2. We're going to say IP address 172.16.12.1. And this is /30. So 255.255.255.252. We'll give a quick no shut there to make sure that it's up. So let's say do show IP interface brief, and we should see down here at the very bottom where we saw the port channel before. There we go. We've got port channel 2, and right now it's down, down, but that's because the other side is down, down. What if I were to say do show Etherchannel Summary? What would it say? Exactly. It would give us the lowercase s for both of the ports, because they are suspended right now. So let's go ahead and pull up the Ether channel on the other side. We're going to do the exact same thing over on DLSW, and let's slide this guy up a little bit here. On DLSW02. And we're also going to shut down all of the all of the unused ports. So let's say interface range FA 601 to 5. Remember, we're using 6 for the host connection. And then FA 6013 to 48, and then gig 601 to 4, and simply shut those guys down. So this is basically going to offline any ports that we're not currently using that we don't need. Excuse me. So we'll give this a second here to wrap up. And real quickly, let me go ahead and use AirPlay here to display my iPad mini, and I'm wondering why the MacBook or the iMac is not showing up here under my AirPlay menu, because I should be able to display this. Right here. Yeah, I should be able to display this, but it's not going to allow me to display it. So I was going to pull up a real quick image of the diagram. All right, so we've got DLSW02 is ready to go. So we'll go into Global Config with the Configure Terminal command. And then let's go ahead and do the same thing. So we're going to say interface range FA 6011 to 12. No switch port, right? We're making these layer 3 routed ports. And actually, let's do this. If I were to say switch port, right? So let's leave it as a switch port. So I'm going to change them to switch ports. If I said channel group 2 mode desirable, and then I went into interface port channel 2, and I said IP address 172.16. What do we say? 12.2. And remember, this is /30. You can see it doesn't even recognize the IP address command. So what if I decided here, oh, that's right, I need to make it a switch port. If I said no switch port. So you get command rejected, not a convertible port. Because again, we created this port channel with ports that were layer 2 switch ports. So in order to fix things here, we would have to exit out and say no interface port channel 2, and then go back into interface range FA 6011 to 12 and say no switch port. So do show run int FA 6011, and you can see it pulled everything off of there. The channel group command is pulled off of there as well. So now that I've said no switch port, now I'm going to have to say again channel group 2 mode desirable. In fact, if you wanted to, you could also, spice the config up a little bit. Channel protocol, let's protect it. Say it's going to be PAgP, right? Lock that in for PAgP. And then we'll go into interface port channel 1. And now when we issue the IP address command for 172.16.12.2, and did I not say do show run int FA 6011? And I think we've got, I got to get back into that range. So interface range FA 6011 to 12, no shut. The no switch port command is on both of those guys. Let's say do show run NFA 6011 and 6012. Let's make sure we've got them both. And they are there. Do show IP interface brief, include PO. PO, capital P, capital O. Ah, I see we've got two port channels here now. And so let's exit out and say no interface PO1. And we just want to work with port channel 2. So interface port channel 2 and IP address 172.16.12.2. There we go. All right, so now when we say do show run interface, or do show, how about IP interface brief, include port channel, now we've got the IP address on there. So things look much better now. And even if I were to say no shut, we're up already. So, but we'll throw that in there. Now let's go ahead and see what do things look like. Let's do a quick write mem. Save our configuration off here, and let's say show Etherchannel Summary. All right. Well, this is what we want to see, right? We've got the output we're looking for here, which is that port channel 2 is an RU, capital R, capital U. So in other words, it is a layer 3 port channel that is in use. Now remember, prior to this, we were seeing SU on a lot of our other labs when we did our port channels because those were layer 2 port channels. In other words, we were creating trunks. And I believe we're actually in this lab, we're going to be creating some trunks too. So it's a layer 3 Ether channel, and it is in use. And so if you were following along with our diagram here, what you can see is where we've got ALS1 and ALS2 and then DLS2 and DLS1. So this is our layer 3 port channel, right? We've got what is probably going to be a layer 2 port channel here. Then there's another layer 2 port channel there, and then ALS2 is a layer 2 port channel. So from the perspective of ALSW01, what we have here is our traditional layer 2 non-loop, right? So because there is no loop here because of this layer 3 interface. So there's no triangle of layer 2 information or layer 2 configuration information here that's going to create some sort of a spanning tree problem. We've short-circuited that with this layer 3 interface, or I'm sorry, this layer 3 Ether channel that we created here. So this would be a layer 2 unlooped or layer 2 non-looped architecture, right? And especially for ALSW02 over here, who's only got a pair of uplinks to a single distro switch. But if we're looking at it purely from a ALSW01 perspective, that right there is a layer 2 non-looped architecture. And this is actually Cisco's current recommended best practice for the enterprise or for your campus environment, for your access core, is to be able to not have to deal with spanning tree up here, right? And having to worry about a loop being created because we've got two disparate connections here that are not going to cause a spanning tree loop. All right, so let's go ahead and clear our screen there. And let's pop back here. We're back on DLSW02. Let's check 01, and let's see now. Do things get a little better over here? Let's save our config real quick first. And then let's say show Etherchannel Summary, and take a look. We are golden, right? We've got PAgP up and running. The ports are bundled, ready to go, and good to use. So let's check it out. Can I ping across here? So let's say ping 172.16.12.2. We'll probably have to ARP out for the first one. We did, and there we go. So that's going to work. And so then from the other side, this should be 72.16.12.1. And there we go. All right, so we're good there. Now let's configure default routing between the distribution layer switches. So we're on step 5 if you're following along. And it says to provide reachability across the layer 3 Ether channel trunk, configure fully qualified static default routes at DLS1 and DLS2 that point to each other, right? So each of these static routes that we're going to create is going to point to the other. Now, the first example they show, which is the quad zeros and pointing to the interface, you're going to end up seeing that message. And let's go ahead and do that here on DLSW01. Let's go from privilege exec to global config. We're going to say IP route quad zeros here. And they want us to put in here port channel 2. And it doesn't look like we're going to catch that message. Now, sometimes what you'll see, it'll say default route without gateway. If not a point-to-point interface may impact performance, right? So what we want to do is we want to fully qualify the next hop. So not just giving it the outgoing interface, but we're also going to give it the next hop IP 172.16.12.2. So if I were to say do show run include route, we should have, well, it looks like we've got 2 there, so we're going to pull this one out. So there we go. So we should only see one default static route, and that's a little disappointing. It looks like it pulled out both. So here we go. Let's do this again. Do show run include route. We should see, there we go, a single default static route. Let's go ahead and do the same thing over here on the opposite side. In fact, we can save ourselves a serious amount of time here by saying copy, go into global config, paste, and put a 1, right? Because again, port channel is the same number. All I did was change the last octet to reflect DLSW01's IP address. So if we were to confirm what we've got here so far, show IP route include, oops, sorry, include gateway. So why aren't we seeing anything here? What do you think? Show IP route. Nothing. Why do you think it's not showing anything? Exactly. Let's say show run include routing. And if this doesn't come back with a command that is IP routing, then we've got some issues here. So let's go ahead and throw it in there. IP routing. Now let's say do show IP route. All right, so that looks a little bit better. But what about the do show run include route? All right, so that static is still there. That static default route is still there. Let me do this. I'm actually going to remove this. And I'm wondering if when we added it, if there's an order of operations here, I'll say no IP route, and then we'll say Control A, pull it back, and add it in here. And let's say show IP route. Because we should, oh, there it is at the bottom. Did I miss that the first time as well? Okay, I did not. Yeah, so it looks like there may be an order of operations issue here. So let's check it out on DLSW1. So what I'm saying with the order of operations is here we enabled IP routing. I said show IP route, but yet our default static wasn't here. And then I deleted it and then added it back in, and now it shows up. So let's see if we get the same behavior over here. So if I say do show run include route, do we have that default static route? We do. There it is right there. So if I say do show IP route, again, we get this ICMP redirect cache empty because we haven't enabled IP routing. So let's make that happen. So again, it's just simply IP routing. So I'll type in. We'll even give a write mem in here. So is it an order of operations? We define the static default route first, then we turned on routing. Does it pick it up? All right, it did here, but it certainly didn't over on DLSW02. So, okay, not an order of operations. Maybe I just didn't wait long enough, but definitely be aware of that. Confirm that it creates that, that static route for you. All right, so we've got the route. Let's go ahead and let's check one more time. 172.16.12.2 with a quick ping. We're good going that way. Can we come back the other way? 172.16.12.1, and we're good going that way. All right. So now we're going to configure the remaining ether channels for the topology. And remember, again, I showed you we've got 2 ether channels coming off of ALSW01, And we have a single ether channel coming off ALSW02. And these are going to be layer 2 PAgP trunks. So let's come over to ALSW01 and let's get cooking here. So we're going to go from user exec to privilege exec, or I'm sorry, from privilege exec to global config. Interface range FA107 to 8. And these are going to be the links for port channel 1 that go up to the distribution layer switch 1. So switch port trunk encapsulation .1Q. Oh, sorry. Switch port trunk encapsulation .1Q, switch port mode trunk, and then we're going to go with switch port trunk. Oh, there we go. Switch port trunk allowed VLAN except 110. So we're not going to allow VLAN. Oh, I didn't want that. VLAN 110. So we're not going to be allowing VLAN 110 to travel between ALSW01 and DLSW01. So now let's go ahead and say channel group 1 mode and desirable. And then let's lock it in as well, right? So we'll say channel protocol is PAgP. So in case someone comes in and tries to change it to something else with LACP, we might have a little protection here. Let's see what we've got right now so far. So let's say do show run in FA1011. Not 1011, 107. There we go. All right, so we're looking good here. All the VLANs are allowed except VLAN 110. So VLAN 110 is not allowed across this trunk link to DLSW01. All right, so that takes care of that side. Let's get the DLSW01 side done here. Let's go into global config interface range FA107 to 8. We're going to say switch port trunk encapsulation .1Q, switch port mode trunk, and then switch port trunk, trunk allowed VLAN. Now, this is interesting, right? So remember, over here on ALSW01, everybody except 110 is allowed. And we remember from the reading in the book, it said that the switch port trunk allowed VLAN lists had to match. So what if they didn't? What if I said VLAN except 111? So now we've got a mismatch on which VLANs are allowed. So we're going to say channel group 1 mode desirable. And then we're going to say channel protocol, CHANNEL, channel protocol PAgP. So do show run interface FA107. See, you notice we have this error here, right? So I said 111 here, and we said 110 over here. So let's see. Do show Etherchannel Summary. So everything came up and bundled, so it looks good, but we definitely have a mismatch here. So let's sort that out right now. Oh, there we go. Except 110. VLAN mask is different. So it looked like I did it too soon. So let's see. Do show Etherchannel Summary. So hopefully we've got a fortuitous failure here. So 107 and 108. Let's say do show run interface FA107. And now it is correct. And 108, let's make sure they say the same thing. They do. However, if I were to say shut, so let's shut this down. Can't bundle will be suspended. VLAN mask is different. And so the VLAN mask being different is the VLANs allowed. So then we're going to say no shut. And let's bring these guys back up now that the VLAN allowed list does match. So both interfaces come up. However, we're now getting this error again. The VLAN mask is different. So what do we see over here? Do show Etherchannel Summary. So these are showing standalone. Let's say do show, what are we looking for here? Do show run interface FA107 and 108. All right, so those are both PAgP switch port mode trunk, so we're good there. So can't bundle, incompatible with port channel 1. Let's say do show run interface PO1. And do you see the problem? So this is a very, I love these fortuitous failures, right? Because take a look at what just happened. So this is a classic example of why you should always make your changes. Once you establish the Ether channel, all of your changes should be made from the port channel interface. Not doing so will result in exactly what we see here. So if I were to pull back up the show run interface FA07, take a look at what's going on right now. So I've gone under the physical member interfaces and run this switch port trunk allowed command. However, when the port channel was created, this was the original command that I ran, where I said exclude everybody, exclude everything except, I'm saying this backwards, exclude only 111, right? So everything except 111 is allowed. Then I went under the physical interfaces with an interface range command and fixed it and said, no, that's right, it doesn't match on both sides. Let's make it 110, like the other side is. And so here is the problem that you run into. We've got this suspended interface right now because the port channel doesn't reconcile with the physical interfaces. So how do we fix this? Well, we could fix it by issuing the right command under the port channel interface. So let's go into interface PO1. And let's say switch port trunk allowed VLAN except 110. All right, so we immediately get told we've got compatible members. Everything looks good. The port channel comes up, so let's go ahead and say show Etherchannel Summary. So again, very, very important that once you create that Ether channel and bundle the links, that when you're making changes, and again, I didn't actually think that all the way through. I did not anticipate that was going to happen and just walked right into it. But that's exactly what happens when you're making changes to the physical member interfaces and not the overarching umbrella port channel interface. And again, not good, right? Not good. All right, so that takes care of the first port channel for ALSW01. Let's knock out the second port channel. And I will do this without the drama of misconfiguring it intentionally. So interface range FA, and this is going to be 109 to 10. We're going to say switch port trunk incap.1q, switch port mode trunk. Switch port trunk allowed is only VLAN 110. So switch port trunk allowed VLAN 110. So now that we're in here, right, we've already put those commands there, so it's okay because we haven't done the port channel yet. So when I say channel protocol PAgP, channel group 4, mode desirable. Now, do show Etherchannel Summary. We're definitely port channel 4. We're down, right, and we're waiting because we've got some stuff we need to do on the other side, which is actually going to be on the DLSW02 side. There you go. You can see 9 and 10. So let's get into global config here. And let's say interface range FA609 to 10, switch port trunk incap.1q, switch port mode trunk, switch port trunk allowed VLAN 110. 110 only to go between these two links. All right, let's throw that channel protocol PAgP in there. Let's say channel group 4 mode desirable. And let's see what happens here. We'll say show Etherchannel Summary. All right, so we are up and bundled. Let's go ahead and take care of the last Ether channel. It's going to be Ether channel or port channel 3 here. We'll go from user exec to privilege exec into global config. We're going to say interface range FA 10, and this is going to be it shows 7 and 8. Yeah, 107 to 8. So switch port switch port trunk in cap.1q, switch port mode trunk, switch port VLAN allow. Oh, actually, we're just going to allow all VLANs, so we don't have to put anything on there. And then let's go ahead and do our channel group or channel protocol PAgP. Channel group, and this is going to be 3 mode desirable. And so let's save our config here with a right mem, and then back over to DLSW02 and get into global config here and say interface range FA607-8, and same thing, switch port trunk in cap.1q, switch port mode trunk. We're allowing all VLANs. We don't need to put anything there. And now we get our channel protocol PAgP. Channel group is going to be 3 mode desirable for PAgP. Let's go ahead and say end show Etherchannel Summary. Is PAgP brought us into an up state? We are. So taking a look at DLSW02 here, all of our port channels are up. We're good to go. And everything is working as expected. So now we're going to verify or enable and verify layer 3 connectivity across the network. So we're going to create the management VLANs 99 on ALS1 and ALS2. So we did that. And default gateways at DLS1 and 2 respectively. So yeah, so we have actually on the access layer we did not. So ALSW02, let's take a look here. We're going to need to create, how about show VLAN brief? What do we see here? So that's all we've got. Pretty much nothing, the original 5. So let's get into the global config on ALSW02, and let's say VLAN 120, name MGMT, and actually name MGMT2, and then interface VLAN 120, IP address 10.1, 10.1.120.2, and this is going to be a /24. No shut. And again, on this switch, do show run include routing. Did we enable IP routing? No, we shouldn't have enabled IP routing because we're treating this as an access layer switch, pure access layer switch. So here's what we want to do, right? If it's a layer 2 switch only, we want to make sure that if this is our management domain, that we've got the IP default gateway statement in here for our management traffic. So 10.1.120.1. And this is going to allow us to say do ping 10.1.99.2. So can we ping 10.1.99.2? We'll give it a second here. Took it a while there for that first period to pop up. So it may take a couple. This address is 10.1.99.2. This address sits on... So our first hop should be 10.1.121. All right, so we're not getting anything back here. So let's take a look at this real quick. Let's say Control-Shift-6. And let me save my config here, right mem. So we'll say show VLAN brief. We should have VLANs, or actually just VLAN 120. It's active. What about show interface or show IP interface brief? What does VLAN 120 look like here? It is up. We've got the right IP address on there. And so we're trying to ping 10.1.99.2. So we're trying to ping from ALS2 over to ALS1. Let me make sure here. It's actually asking, yeah, so we still need to configure. I don't believe that's been configured yet. So let me check over here. Kind of getting confused between ALS1 and 2. So from here, let's save our information just in case. Show VLAN brief. We should have no VLANs. Okay, there's your problem right there, right? How can I ping the VLAN when it doesn't exist? So let's go ahead, and I'm going to kick off an extended ping over here. So we're going to say ping 10.1.99.2. Now remember, this is going to be the management VLAN IP on ALSW01. And I'm going to say repeat, and we'll say 1,000. So this is going to do its thing here and should come online when we get things set up. So back to ALSW01. Let's create that management VLAN. So VLAN 99, and we're going to name it MGMT, and I'm assuming it should be 2. And then let's say interface VLAN 99. Create the management VLANs 99 at ALSW01. Okay, we did that. Configure interface VLAN 99. So interface VLAN 99 IP address 10.1.99.2, and it's a /24. We're going to say no shut, and let's see from ALSW02, do we get any activity here once we bring VLAN 99 online? And we don't, and you should be able to tell me why we don't. What was the one thing we did on ALSW02, because it's a layer 2 switch and we're pinging the management VLAN, what did we have to put in there so that if I'm pinging off of my local network, I know how to get to my default router? Exactly. The IP default gateway command. We did not add that in. We forgot to do that. And we should add in the default gateway for VLAN 99 here. So show IP interface brief, include VLAN, and it should have been just V and then lowercase LAN, I believe. So there we go. So we should be pointing our default gateway statement to 10.1.99.1. So let's do that. Let's create that IP default gateway to 10.1.99.1. Now I'm going to hit enter here and then quickly transition back over here, because that should fix it, right? Because the problem right now is, and if I were to say Control-Shift-6 here, the problem right now is if I trace to 10.1.99.2, let's see how far I get. So the first hop should be my default gateway for ALSW02, which, if it's the management VLAN 120, should be 10.1.120.1. That should be the first hop I'm taking. And so it looks like there may be an issue here between ALSW02 and DLSW02. So let's take a quick look over here at DLSW02. How about a show IP interface brief, include VLAN? Aha! So do you see the problem? We have an IP default gateway statement pointing from ALSW02 to the VLAN 120 switch virtual interface here. However, what are we missing? Correct, the obvious, right? So interface VLAN 120, we don't have an IP address configured. So let's get that in there. 10.1.120.1, I believe. Yep. /24. Give it a quick no shut here. And there we go. So let's come back over here to ALSW02. So you can see we actually made it all the way across. So even without that default gateway statement, which is a little interesting, let's kick that ping off. Yeah, so there you go. You can see the ping is working. But from a management perspective, management VLAN perspective, we would want that statement right there to be included. So let's go ahead and hit end and write mem. All right. So those guys have been sorted out. So now, again, if I were to run that trace route again, let's see what we've got. So exactly, that's beautiful, right? Exactly what we expected. We've got the first one right here, 10.1.121. That is the VLAN 120 IP, the switch virtual interface. And again, that is our layer 2, layer 3 boundary is at that distribution layer switch, and that is my default gateway. So if I can get there, I then have a default route that simply points across. And let's real quickly here, let me draw this out for you. So again, this is DLSW1, ALSW1, and this is where that .2 address is at, right? That's the management VLAN. We've got the layer 2 ether channel here. So here's that layer 3 ether channel between these guys. And we're pinging this way. So the traffic shows up here. IP routing is enabled here, right? So he gets the packet and says destination IP is 10.1.99.2. I don't have a specific route for that, but remember what we did. We created that default static route that's going to just shove the traffic out the port channel interface with the next hop of .1. So then the traffic shows up here at distribution layer switch 1. At which point distribution layer switch 1 looks at it and says 10.1.99.1, I'm sorry, .2 is the destination network. And guess what? I actually have an interface configured in that network range. And so then it looks it up and pushes it out over here to ALSW01, right? So again, it's those static routes that are pushing traffic that shows up here that it doesn't have a more specific route for. It's simply going to shove it across the layer 3 ether channel here at the top between the distribution layer switches, right? Okay, let's go ahead and clear that out, and let's drop back here. All right, so we've got that sorted out. The trace worked great. So now we're going to configure multi-layer switching at ALS1. So at this point, all routing is going through the DLS switches. And now we're going to do, how do they want us to do this here? So enable inter-VLAN routing between two VLANs locally on ALSW01. So we're going to create additional VLANs on ALSW01, and we're going to enable IP routing so we can ditch the statement that I just put on there, which was that IP default gateway statement. We'll no longer need that. All right, so if I were to say IP routing and then walk through the VLAN creation, so, and let's say do show IP or do show VLAN brief. How many VLANs? We only have 99. Okay, so VLAN 100. Name is going to be local. And then we're going to say VLAN 110. The name is going to be internode. And then VLAN, let's see what we've got here. Our interface VLAN 100. IP address 10.1, 10.1.100.1. There's a /24, and then we'll say no shut. Interface VLAN 110. IP address 10.1.110.2. And that is a /24. We're going to say no shut right there. And that is it on ALSW01. So here is where we're going to configure the host. And I need to pause. I've got to switch a cable here real quick. And then we will be right back. All right, so we're back. And we've got the... I want to say the PC. We've got the MacBook here connected up. We've got the cable switch. As you can see, FA106 just came up. So let's go ahead and do the same thing here on ALSW01. We'll go from user exec to privilege exec into global config, interface FA106, and this is where we're simply going to say switch port host. And again, right, sets it to access, disables the channel group if there was any type of ether channeling going on, and sets the port to port fast. Last thing we need to do is say switch port access VLAN 110. Now remember, we've set this up so that we're using the same MacBook here, right? So we're going to have to make a change, I believe, in the IP address. Let's take a look here. So 10.1.110. So yep. So the IP here needs to change to 10.1.100. Because it was VLAN 100 that we just created. That's the VLAN this guy belongs into. So let's say apply there. Let's pull up, where's secure CRT on here? There we go. So we'll pull secure CRT up, and can we trace? Let's see what happens when we say trace over to 10.1.99.2. Is that right? Hold on one second. Failed to open code description. Oh, trace route. Sorry, 10.1.99.2. And it looks like it's going out the Wi-Fi here, which is not what we, because we've got the wrong. Give me 1 second. Let me shrink that guy down. So, no, that's actually right. 10.1.100.1. It should be the first hop, but the fact is that we're actually connected to both the Wi-Fi network here locally so that I can get to this system as well as the LAN segment here. All right, so let's see. Is there a way around this so that we can see? And take a look there, boy. It's still going. So let's say Control-Shift-6, or just Control-C, sorry. Control-C there on the MacBook. So we're not going to be able to do that trace, and that's okay because the trace would have worked without any issues. So let me see something. Is this port no shut? This port should be up. Let's see, do ping 10.1.100.50. So can I ping the PC out that directly connected port? Do show IP or do show VLAN brief? Do we have VLAN 100? We do, local, and it's active. Do show IP, or actually do, how about show IP interface? Brief include the VLANs, and VLAN 100, 10.1.100.1, and we can't ping. Hold on here. Let me make sure that we've got this set up right. There may be something else going on here. And if I iconify that, 10.1.100.50, it's a /24. We applied it. 10.1.100.1 is the default gateway. That is correct. And can we even ping? Let's see if I can ping. I think it's preferring that wireless interface. Ping 10.1.100.1. Yeah, so here's what I'm going to do. Just to confirm that this is actually working, I'm going to disable the Wi-Fi, which is going to kill the connection that you're seeing there on the screen, and I'm going to test it here on the actual MacBook, and let's see what happens when the Wi-Fi is disconnected. And sure enough, it is not making a difference. Oh, did we do show run in FA106? Did I not put in switch port access? No. So we've got that there. So this is interesting. Do you see the problem? Does anybody see the problem? It's right there. So what VLAN is this supposed to be a member of? It's supposed to be a member of VLAN 100, and it clearly isn't. Let's make sure. Do we still have connectivity? Okay, great. We do. So let's sort this out. So what it should say is switch port access VLAN 100. Let's pull this guy back and now take a look. Working like a champ. So there I was thinking that we had some sort of a split tunneling type thing or something like that going on, and it turned out it was in the wrong VLAN. So now when I say escape trace route to 10.1.99.2, we should get there without any issues at all. And there we go, right? So we go to our default gateway, and that 10.192 address is on the multi-layer switch, ALS1. Okay, I feel much better now knowing that that's functioning. All right, so here's what we're going to do next. So at this point, local routing at ALS1 works fine, and off-net routing outside of ALS1 is not going to work. Well, let's check that, right? What if I were to say ping 10.1.120.2? Yeah, and definitely not. And that's the VLAN 120 address on the SVI over at ALSWO2. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to add in some static routing. So the first static route we're going to add in is at DLSWO1. We're going to go into privilege exec and then in global config, and it says add a static route to the 10.1.100/24 network via VLAN 99. Now remember, the 10.1.100, that's down on ALSWO1, so the next hop, we would want to be setting that to, and actually we could just use the VLAN statement, or we could use the IP of the SVI on ALSWO1. So we'll go with the VLAN here. So let's go ahead and make this happen. So IP route, so we want a static route to get to the 10.1.100.0, 255.255.255.0. You're going to take VLAN 99. So there's the static route we need to add there. Let's go to DLSWO2 and do something very similar over here. I'm going to go from user exec to privilege exec into global config. IP route. So to get to the 10.1.100.0, 255.0, and let's make sure that this is still going here, right? You can see this was totally broke, right? Trying to ping VLAN 120, the SVI interface on ALSW 02, and let's see if that's going to come back for us here. So we'll put this IP route statement here, and we're going to say it's going to go via VLAN 110. All right, and then at ALS 1, let's check. Nope, still not working. On ALS 1, we're going to say a static route. So let's get out of the interface config mode. IP route 192.168.1.0, 255.255.255.0. Is that right? Yep. And we're going to go via VLAN 110. And then a default static route, use the 10.199.1, and that's my link up to DLSW01. So that's still broke. And let's see, is this going to sort it out? IP route 192.168. I'm sorry. IP route 10.1.99, or default static. Quad zeros, and that's going to go to 10.1.99.1. I think that's everything. So do show IP route. We should see we've got a static route in here now that just sends all the traffic it doesn't know how to route. Let's go back and take a look. Are we working? All right. Fantastic. So there you go. We've got it set up now. So we've got static routes in here kind of helping us out. Now from ALSW01, if I was to try to trace route to that address, let's see what path do I take. 10.1.120.2. Again, that's the IP of the SVI on ALSW02. And so my first hop, and I apologize, I know this is probably terribly hard to see here, 10.1.101. So I go to my default SVI, then I go to 10.199.1, which is the VLAN 99 IP address inside of DLSW01. Then I hop over to 172.16.12.2, which is DLSW02, and then down to 10.1.120.2. So it works fantastic. All right. So that is going to wrap up Lab 5-1 on Inter-VLAN Routing. Again, we had some great mistakes here, super stuff to learn from, and ultimately we got everything working from end to end. All right, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy your weekend and what's left of spring break, and I will see you Monday night when we're going to be jumping into HSRP. Have a good one, guys.